If you're obese, you have a high cytokine activity. Cytokines are inflammatory markers, which are also important in obesity and ischemic heart disease and other associated things with obesity. So that's obesity and cytokines. And COVID and cytokines are also very closely related. And so that if you have a COVID infection, you have a cytokine reaction. And it's the combination probably of two different reasons for cytokine reaction. Research really is important to understand whether by reversing obesity you reverse the increased risk of mortality and morbidity with COVID. And then how quickly, if you reverse your obesity, because this is really key at the moment, we're all talking about the huge number of people who have severe and complex obesity in this country, and many of them don't have anywhere to go for help and support.
Different racial groups in this context carry different amounts of fat. So, for example, at the same BMI, a person of Asian ethnicity will typically have more body fat than a white person. And that's just the sort of inherited tendency to store fat. And therefore, that people in that ethnic group are much more likely to develop diabetes, a disease that seems to be caused by storing excess fat. So it could be that it's the differences in the way that we store our fat or where we store our fat, which is a separate factor that might make the difference between black groups and white groups. But our study wasn't able to show which of those were important explanations. So the risk in white people was for every 1 unit of BMI, the risk was a 4% increase. For black people, it was a 6% increase. So it was an additional 50% increase of risk. What we're saying is there was an increased risk for everyone when they had a higher BMI. But that increased risk, as it were, that comes from having a higher BMI was higher in people of black ethnic groups. It looked slightly higher in Asian ethnic groups, but there wasn't enough certainty to be sure about Asian population.